Hey there, my name is Sage, and you are watching D&D Daily. Today, I'm doing a character build, the Bugbear Assassin, the Shadow Hunter. In order to play the Shadow Hunter, you are going to need to be a Way of the Shadow monk Bugbear. The Shadow Hunter was raised in an urban Bugbear gang. The Shadow Hunter's training consisted of underground jobs and pit fights. The gang was often hired to assassinate, intimidate, and infiltrate. To this end, the gang developed some tricks to help with this, learning to summon darkness, silence, and to move even more stealthily than other bugbears could. This made them popular to hire, but also the rivals of other gangs who wanted the work the Shadow Bugbears were monopolizing. A rival gang ambushed them during their typical celebrations after a successful job, killing most of them and routing the rest. The gang was broken apart and the Shadow Hunter was run out of the city. He wants to make a new gang and to overthrow the rival gang and to re-establish his gang as the top. He exemplifies most bugbear traits. He values stealth and strength above all other attributes. He is direct, using simple terms. Other humanoids might find statements like sit down as offensive, but as a bugbear, this actually is being polite. Indirect statements leave room for manipulation, which bugbears hate. He's not super adaptable. He'll get what he wants through stealth or strength. If that doesn't work, he'll flee. He never resorts to charm or anything more clever than that. In combat, the Shadow Hunter is a hit and run striker who also has a few debuffs up his sleeve. If the Shadow Hunter surprises an enemy, he gets bonus damage, so he'll want to open up as many combats as possible with surprise. Throughout normal combat, though, he'll use his long limbs and high mobility to run in, smack them with his mace or fists, and then run away without provoking opportunity attacks because he attacked with reach. If he sees a mage, he will cast silence on the area they're in and then stand by them. If they try and escape, he'll use his proficiency in athletics to try and stop them with a grapple, keeping them stuck in silence. Proficiency in athletics won't make you a great grappler, but you don't need to be a great grappler to hold down a frail wizard. At level 6, the Shadow Hunter gets Shadow Step from his subclass. This allows him to bonus action teleport 60 feet from one shadow to another. This makes for some insane mobility in the right circumstances. Darkness is excellent at battlefield control, making a very undesirable area, but that goes for your teammates too, so you need to be careful about how you use it. Out of combat, the Shadow Hunter can act as a solo infiltrator, but can also support a whole team of infiltrators. Pass Without Trace is simply amazing, and by using it, you can get your whole squad somewhere without anybody knowing a thing. Going along with this, he can give teammates dark vision, he can create darkness smoke bombs if they need to beat a hasty retreat, and he can cast silence to quietly break windows and other objects if needed. Overall, you're the break and enter kind of infiltrator. During the Shadow Hunter's downtime, he wants to make his gang. He may be surprised to find that non-bugbears have the potential of strong ties, so the party from his perspective might actually be him developing a gang. The key mechanics of playing the Shadow Hunter is that dexterity and constitution are your most important attributes. Wisdom is still very important and more important than strength, but I would sacrifice a little bit of wisdom to bring your strength up just a touch. Nothing crazy, but just a point or two. This makes you less focused on stunning strike than other monks might be, but it also makes you a better grappler than other monks might be. If you end up with an odd attribute score, I would take the skill expert feat to round it out. I would probably have expertise in athletics to make the Shadow Hunter a better silence grappler, but if you want to focus more on infiltration, stealth certainly isn't a bad idea either. The extra skill I would take with the feat would be perception. Bugbears naturally have proficiency in stealth, so you can take proficiency in acrobatics and athletics instead. This helps you be as much of a physical presence as possible. The first weakness of the Shadow Hunter is a weakness most monks share in that their damage output is quite low. He also has no long-range options, having to close the distance using his mobility in all situations. He is also horrible in social situations. He's a low charisma bugbear after all. If I were to use him as an NPC, I would likely use him as a combat, an antagonist. And in that combat, I would make sure there's a ton of darkness for him to work with. I would make sure that there's low vertical maneuverability options so that his high horizontal maneuverability can really shine. This is where the Shadow Hunter would move in, get in his attacks, and move back into darkness. He would use Shadow Step while in darkness to move into unexpected locations, making for a problem-solving combat. Going in there guns blazing with no plan simply would not work because he keeps vanishing and turning up in different locations. They need to deal with that darkness. Because the Shadow Hunter isn't great in social situations, he would probably try to avoid them altogether, opting for action over conversation. Because of this, as an NPC, I wouldn't really be using him as a social encounter. Now that being said, I would like to know how you would use the Shadow Hunter in your campaign. What would you do to make him better or more interesting? Let me know in the comments down below. We are D&D Daily. We release new D&D content every single day, so if that is interesting to you, go ahead and hit the subscribe button, and we'll see you tomorrow.